Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode, mind you, fun review and preview episode of From the Cheap Seats Wrestling Podcast. My name is Chris Branson. I am the host. Uh, we're going to look into this weekend in professional wrestling, namely WWE's King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view, PLE, from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, as well the AEW Double or Nothing PLE pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, from Las Vegas tonight. Now, tomorrow is obviously Memorial Day here in the States. Bank holiday in England, as my friend said yesterday. For us who are veterans, combat, and still serving, tomorrow is a reminder to those who are confused as to how it works. Tomorrow is a day of remembrance for those who paid the price, who aren't with us anymore. That, the old saying, freedom isn't free. That's who it honors. It doesn't honor the veteran. We'll all get to eat our steak come November and, benefit from our little discounts then. But tomorrow is for those who lay at rest in any of your state veteran cemeteries, to include our national cemetery at Arlington, there outside of Washington, D.C. I have had the honor and privilege of having a friend interred at Arlington National Cemetery. Now, I'm saying honor and privilege because he served his country honorably, and he died doing the mission that his country asked of him to do. I also have a female friend who exceeded the odds. She was her own women's evolution early into Operation Iraqi Freedom. If you get a chance to look her up, her name is Elizabeth Nicole Jacobson, Airman First Class Elizabeth Nicole Jacobson. Her story is remarkable. I want to pay tribute, and I want to give dedication to this show today in her name, Army Sergeant Steve Marin's name, as well as Airman First Class, or posthumously, I believe, Staff Sergeant Lee Bernard Chavis. Lee Bernard Chavis, as I was initially mentioning, he and I happened to end up being roommates when we were at tech school, the Security Forces Security Police Tech School there at Lackland Air Force Base. So just to get everything out of the way, today's episode is dedicated to them. And I don't want to take too long today on everything, so I'm going to get right into it. We're going to start with King and Queen of the Ring review. We're going to do we're going to look at the pre-show match as well as the main card matches. On the pre-show, you had a women's tag team championship match between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, facing Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Now, see, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell were the way there in NXT. I don't see why you can't bring the Titantron and the music. I mean, you already got the music. Can't bring the Titantron back. And, I mean, I know why people are bitching that, hey, Shayna and Zoe are next. Why is Indy and Candice getting a shot? Well, Zoe and Shayna are back in the States, as to where Indy and Candice are traveling with SmackDown over there to Saudi Arabia. It's pretty common sense as to, hey, we want to make sure that there is an ability to have people on the pay-per-view. And Jeddah The crowd delivered. You know, our stateside guys, we need to take a page from the Jeddah crowd, from the Lyon, France crowd, really up our game. You know, yes, we are paying buku amounts of dollars to sit there and watch a good professional wrestling product put out in front of us. But make these talent feel like you're there watching them work. You know, sing their song. Do the let's go, Becky, let's go live. You know, that energy all the way through makes them want to give you more. I'll say it again. Your energy is the difference between cookie cutter, this is how we're going to book it, or hey, we're at ad lib and we're going to give you a little bit more spice and we might get a little bit more time to do this. Show up, American fans, please, just for the sake of argument. Stand out and do your thing. I guarantee you, and I kid you not, it will be reciprocated with what's inside that ring. NXT. NXT is a perfect example. The rabid nature of what is more the independent hardcore fan that does watch NXT because those talent have been signed to NXT. I was at War Games in, I believe, 2017 when William Regal first brought it back. Got to watch Velveteen Dream versus Aleister Black, where Dream finally got Black to say his name. And we'll talk about Aleister or Malachi Black here today. But getting back to what the point is, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. It was a really good match between all four women, kind of still solidifying the Bianca Jade pairing, even though eventually we know where this is all going between those two. And it's setting up Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae as heels, a heel female tag team on SmackDown. Now, if you know anything about Candice LeRae, the woman can work. Right? She was in intergender matches long before she was a part of WWE. And she can work with the male talent just like she works with her compatriots in the female side. Or women's side. Excuse me. Little still military hole. But it was a good about 10-minute match between the two sets of women. Obviously, in the end, you see Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair going over, which that was you know that was going to happen. Nothing real special about the match, but you know it still shows that Jade has improved over time from AEW. Now that's not a slap at AEW in any way, shape, or form, but it shows that Jade, when she moved over to the Performance Center and had time off screen to kind of really work her craft, that you can see the day and night differences in a Jade Cargill from the two companies. I mean, Jade Cargill was a superstar and a winner in AEW. So, you know, why should we expect less working in WWE? Next match on the card was the Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch Women's World Championship match. You kind of knew, if you're catching the hints, if you're paying attention to the background, the Easter eggs, that Triple H and his creative team have been really good about booking on TV here lately. You know, putting the little things in the back for you to catch, kind of go, oh, yeah, you know, this played all into it. Now, you know, obviously the internet wrestling community and even myself kind of think we know where this is going with Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. There's going to be like this nice little love triangle, you know, maybe we get this long forlorn wanted match between Rhea and Liv for the custody of Dominic Mysterio. 19 years after the fact at SummerSlam. Who knows? That's if Rhea's shoulder is 100% by then. But you're gonna get a quality match out of Becky Lynch regardless. Becky Lynch took the time off, or took away from her time off, her scheduled time off, to wrestle and to carry the championship before last night's pay-per-view, PLE. And Becky is there. Hey, we can depend on her. She's our hired gun. She can go have a good match with a Nia Jax or a Lyra Valkyria, a Tiffany Stratton, you name it. Becky can put it forth. That's why she is a Jill of all trades for WWE. She can go to NXT, she can do Raw, she can do SmackDown, she can do a PLE and make it shine. That being said, we finally got what Liv has been asking for the whole entire time. The completion of the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour with a little bit of chicanery, a little bit of interference. And it's, they're not trying to show their hand, but, if you're well attentive to WWE TV, you kind of see where things are going. I kind of dug Becky coming out in the Tommy Young Peaky Blinders stuff. It was really cool. Nod to Cillian Murphy and Netflix and Peaky Blinders for the inspiration. Liv coming out looking again like she came out of a Britney Spears Toxic video. But at the end of the day, Liv Morgan goes over on Becky Lynch with a little bit of help, intentional or not, by Dirty Dom Mysterio sliding in a steel chair, to which Liv took advantage. Sometimes that's just how it plays. Next on the card was the Sami Zayn, Bronson Reed, Chad Gable Intercontinental Triple Threat match. Now, you obviously had Otis out there kind of looking like he was going to be the heavy for Chad Gable. And at one point, he did serve his purpose for Chad, kind of knocking Bronson Reed off his wheels. Which, WWE has gotten really good about promoting and propagating their big men talent and allowing their big men to kind of really show that, they're more than just world's strongest slams and gorilla splashes, or that, you look at Ivar, you look at Bronson Reed, harkening back to the era of Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow could do a moonsault, a 360-pound man at one point in time in his career. God rest Bam Bam Bigelow, or Scott Bigelow's soul. But, it was the beauty of the big man back then if they could fly. Now, not every one of them fly well. You can, and this is no dig at Sid Vicious. Unfortunately, that man came off the rope trying to big boot Scott Steiner and got injured for it. The man should never have been put in that position. Much reverence and respect to Sid Vicious for even attempting that move, but yeah, whoever booked him into that move really screwed him. And I say that with all honesty and sincerity. Now, getting back to the script, I was looking to see that Chad Gable, that was my pick, was finally going to get the Intercontinental Championship after, the whole thing with training Sami Zayn and Sami Zayn winning at WrestleMania against Gunther. And then, from there, what happened. Well, Sami Zayn proved me wrong. I will gladly admit. And you saw Bronson Reed take a haluva kick, which makes Chad still look strong. It doesn't hurt Bronson Reed. because Bronson Reed will still be a monster positioned heel in the company for years to come. I mean, the man should have never lost his North American Championship. He's going to be a workhorse champion regardless of image, size, whatever. Bronson Reed is the truth, whether as Jonah or Bronson Reed himself, or as the character Bronson Reed now. Expect big things, but I believe that you're going to see, if it's not in Toronto for Money in the Bank, or at Clash of the Castle there in Scotland, you might see Sammy versus Chad for the Intercontinental Championship, and this is probably going to be post this split from the Academy and going into the Diamond Mine, Creed, Team Gable, Team Angle, whatever they're planning to put together. It's going to be really good, I think. Creeds with Chad Gable and even a heel Ivy Nile. It'd be interesting to see. More sinister Creeds, more sinister Ivy Nile, maybe being shown on TV. Who knows? After that, we had first of the two King and Queen of the Ring matches, starting off with women, Nia Jax and Lyra Valkyria. Now Nia came out there, stoic, strong, the big badass female heel, facing off against Lyra Valkyria, who just recently, within the last month, got drafted up to Monday Night Raw. Lyra Valkyria, they're putting the rocket on this woman, and I can't disagree with WWE for doing it. I think WWE is doing the right thing by Lyra Valkyria. Now, end result of the match didn't exactly speak to what I'm saying, but for the two different styles that Nia Jax has as a powerhouse and Lyra has as more of a high flyer / technician, you got a really good meld of scrappy versus strong, high flying versus in your face with Nia. The result, I'm not mad at. I kind of also think if you see from two different perspectives between the two finals matches, that with Nia being crowned Queen of the Ring, what it is an affirmation that bringing her back and allowing her to sit under the learning tree of a Charlotte Flair and a Natalia Neidhart and other female talents that she's worked with since she's gotten back, that, you know, she's put more of an emphasis on fitness while maintaining that larger size that she wrestles with, has all bared the fruit that Triple H and creative has put behind her. You know, we all used to pick on Nia Jax for the endless amounts of botches that she would have in a match. And now, you know, and I love the tribute after that devastatingly obscene, and I'm not saying obscene is bad, obscene bonsai drop onto Lyra to secure the win and the crown. Well, Nia deserved it. My pick was Lyra, but Lyra will have plenty of opportunities to achieve where she's going to go. After that was the King finals between Gunther and Randy Orton. Now, as everybody built it up, it was a dream match. A beautifully put together dream match. It was very old school. It didn't need any flash. It was big move versus big move, chop slaps, utilizing the environment around the ring, and a lot of really good selling between Gunther and Randy Orton. Now, obviously, we all know that Randy Orton is suffering from back issues. It happens. he is selling that time is coming for him to slow down, potentially call it a day, which I don't see that happening. It's Randy Orton. Give me 1 second, please. But at the end of the day, the right person went over. I mean, and this is where I say the two matches differ. Back in the day, the last couple of years, the last couple kings and even the Queen of the Ring, and this is no dig at Xavier Woods, Bad News Barrett, William Regal, Sheamus, or Zelina Vega. The King and Queen's crown, Queen of the Ring, were looked at as really goofy gimmicks, exerting power. And I forgot Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin probably will punch me in the mouth one of these days if I don't mention that he was King of the Ring as well, which is fact, is history. He was. But yes, we can run that, hey, I was queen or king. But finally, we're going back to this is an accomplishment. I am the top 1% of my peers on both Raw and SmackDown, excuse me, and showing that the company is putting maximum effort into making sure that I am well pushed. And that is absolutely fine. That's what King of the Ring should be, is an accomplishment, such as, the Grand Prix tours or the Super Juniors Grand Prix tours there in New Japan. The Continental Classic in AEW. And the AEW will refine their gimmicks and their tournaments and everything else. But King of the Ring went back to being what it should be. Is, hey, this is our next big push, our next big female and male talent that's gonna stay the main event course over the next couple of months and probably the next couple of years. And with that being said, I would love to see them change the name of said tournament if they're going to continue to hold it in Saudi. Name it WWE for the throne, and then under there, King and Queen of the Ring. You don't have to announce it all, but it's a lot less words to have to come out of somebody's mouth. And yes, you can go ahead and run with the WWE if you hear this or somebody watches this. Go ahead and run with it. I don't need any credit. Don't need the money. For the Throne is actually a really awesome name if you think about it. Finally, we get to the main event between Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. Now, the big thing with Logan Paul was, is he going to use the brass knucks? Which it was answered in that match. Even though he gave it off to Michael Cole during a Riyadh press conference, saying that, hey, I'm going to do this fair and square. Logan Paul, the chicken blank heel that he is, and he's a really good chicken blank heel. I could say the word, but I'm going to do him some respect. You were going to see it one way or another, and obviously the referee, who was a part of the match on multiple occasions, has caught people either in possession or having said foreign object during the match. Cody struggled, but he also taught the ultimate lesson to Logan Paul, which is, hey, there's much more to professional wrestling than just the talk. It's what we do in the ring, how we entertain the fans that paid to see us. Plus, they put themselves through some pretty heavy spots. Obviously, Cody, right off the bat, overshot a move, and Logan made Cody's ribs a focus of the match. They used the outside environment. The Arabic announce table got introduced to the chaos. And, so I don't believe it's the first time out of the Saudi pay-per-views that's happened. But, you know, that 360 camera shot of Logan Paul doing his thing there prior to the jump and the elbow drop on Cody, it was pretty cool. I mean, shout out to Lee Fitting and his amazing production crew. I mean, the productions for Raw, NXT, and SmackDown have all benefited from what Lee Fitting has done since he has replaced Kevin Dunn, the retiring Kevin Dunn, there in production. I mean, he's made WWE television must watch because now with these just continuous one shots, you're going from one segment to the other. There's no cliffhangers. Now, the only time there should be cliffhangers, obviously, is the end of any show, pay per view, whatever. But with that being said, Cody Rhodes goes over on Logan Paul like we all thought he was going to. He retains the undisputed WWE Championship and lives to see another day, potentially against the Gunther or whoever is going to be up next to challenge him for his championship. Going from there, tonight is Double or Nothing there in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. It is AEW's, I guess you could say it's kind of like AEW's WrestleMania in the sense that, this is where AEW started. It was its first pay per view 5 years ago in the very same place right before the pandemic. And, they're paying tribute from these last 5 years to the event. The first Double or Nothing had the introduction of Jon Moxley after a really good Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega match. You had Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes, which was an all-time 5-star classic. To be quite honest with you, a bloody all-time 5-star classic. And so much more has happened at Double or Nothing. So I wouldn't expect anything less in regards to surprises, signees, whatever is going to potentially happen. We're going to go ahead and start preview the card. There's going to be trios matches. There's going to be singles matches. There's even anarchy in the arena. Honestly, they should go fight on the strip. That would be really interesting. You could just wrestle right down the Las Vegas Strip. Throw somebody in the pond there outside Mandalay Bay. Who knows? We're going to start with the Acclaimed and the former Mogul Embassy, now just Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. I kind of see the Cage and the Gates jobbing to the Acclaim. But then again, they might be working towards a fracture of the Acclaimed. Daddy Ass and Anthony Bones going away. I don't know what the status is there on Max Caster, if he's in some kind of trouble or if he's just playing into something on the internet. It is what it is. But I see the Acclaimed winning the match, but I don't know where the Acclaimed is going long term. Are they going to go back and redress the Bang Bang Gang, or are they going to do their own thing? Next is the grudge match between Deonna Purrazzo and La Mera Mera Thunder Rosa. Now you have a former Ring of Honor and Impact World Champion in Deonna Purrazzo. You have a former NWA and AEW champion in Thunder Rosa. Both are very technically sound. Both can also do things a bit on the powerhouse side if need be. They can brawl. And that's probably what this match is going to be between those two women, is a brawl. The end result, I see Deonna Purrazzo beating Thunder Rosa, but I expect Thunder Rosa to go down swinging. You may also have something else in play, a debut or an alliance with Deonna Purrazzo and other talent there on the AEW Ring of Honor roster. So we'll see. But I see Deonna going over on Thunder, but in a really good match between the two women. After that, and I'm just going by what I saw on the previous sheet. The Bang Bang Gang of Jay White and the Guns, Austin and Colton, versus Death Triangle, Penta El Cerro Miedo, Ray Fenix, and the Bastard Pack. I would love for the Death Triangle to win the trios titles, the triumvirate of the trios titles. But somehow, I expect the Bang Bang Gang and Jay White to live in trios misery. Jay White should not be in a trios match. I'm just going to say that right now. Jay White should be individually throwing out classics with Will Ospreay or Roddy Strong or any of the male talent on that card. That's the mistake that Tony Khan is making by not having Jay White do an individual run. Not taking a dig at Austin and Colton. Those two young men have proved why they're there and why the investment has been made why they're there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to see Death Triangle go over on the Bang Bang Gang. And that way, the Bang Bang Gang can, go their separate ways. I don't know the stats on Juice Robinson or when he's coming back. If he is coming back, who knows? After that, we're probably looking at the triple threat match for the world. See, I had to watch myself again. The world heavyweight championship. The AEW BMF title, if you really want to call it that, between Hook, Katsuyori Shibata, and the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. I see Shibata winning this one. It's going to come down to Hook and Shibata, but there Chris Jericho could probably pull off some chicanery with the former W. Morrissey, Big Bill, the Big Cass himself. So we may see Chris win, but I'm going to call for Shibata to take the title. And then, Shibata and Hook to hook it up and go right into Fyter Fest or however they're going to run the future shows with those two. The best friends grudge match between Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. Now, I would think that at the end of the day, you want the babyface to go over, but I see Trent Beretta winning this. I don't foresee this being the only match between those two gentlemen during the summer. I see this feud kind of going along, just as long as the length is right in how they book it. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm gonna say Trent Beretta over Orange Cassidy with a little bit of tomfoolery. Who knows? Then you have Jon Moxley versus Konosuke Takeshita. I'm going to get that man's name right one of these days. And then IWGP heavyweight title eliminator match. It's a lot of words. Why? Just make it for the title. Let those two slap each other and beat each other all to hell. That's what they're good at. And I'm not saying that, hey, they're going to go beat the crap out of each other. That's what they put together. That is the kind of match that you can expect from those two, and it'd be something worth the Dave Meltzer 5-star. At the end of the day, I see Moxley retaining, but it would not surprise me if Takeshita wins, furthering an opportunity again at Moxley for said IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Going from there into what I think is being teased potentially as Aleister Black's, or excuse me, Malachi Black. Funny how I said Aleister there. That it's being teased as the final match potentially for Malachi Black. Now, obviously, you've seen the promos with Adam Copeland over the last couple of weeks, enticing him to be a part of it. And then you saw this weekend as Brody King and Buddy Murphy, who I also believe, or Buddy Matthews, is eventually going to leave AEW for WWE and go join his better half, Rhea Ripley, in WWE. Same with Malachi and Zelina, which could be really good pairings if Zelina decides to break off from the LWO. Getting back to the match, I see Adam Copeland going over Malachi Black. You know, Malachi Black has said that Edge has been one of his inspirations in the wrestling game. We'll see. I expect blood. I expect a little bit of miss, probably. But at the end of the day, I see Adam Copeland going over Malachi Black, and potentially the House of Black becomes the House of Blood. Now, where does this sit when Julia Hart comes back? Who knows? If Buddy is eventually leaving, is Brody following? I know Julia Hart, I believe, is attached or married to Lee Moriarty. I believe. Might be wrong. Or regardless of who she dates off screen. I don't see Julia Hart leaving for WWE, although that would be pretty cool. But at the end of the day, I think we're seeing the final days of the House of Black, unless, Brody King and Buddy Matthews are choosing to stay. But we'll see. Who else? We have Will Ospreay versus Roderick Strong. Now, you've got the Undisputed Kingdom in Roderick Strong's pocket, but who knows? The Undisputed Kingdom has not been really booked all that well, and I don't believe a lot of people have been fans of said thing, especially with who they put together. Now, I got when they put Roddy and Adam with the Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, but throwing Wardlow in there, it only served the purpose when MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, was around, but he doesn't fit. This is one of the factions that was not so well thought of or booked, long term as to who its members were going to be. Now, when Max gets back and Adam Cole's ankle is 100% and they go at it, okay, that faction makes sense. And eventually you might see the Pinnacle, a new version of the Pinnacle, maybe even just a return of Max and FTR, plus somebody that we're not looking at expecting is going to be a member of that group. But at the end of the day, I think Will Ospreay is going to win this match, but by disqualification. I think Undisputed Kingdom gets involved, helping out Roddy Strong, and this furthers their storyline to the next major event, next pay-per-view that they've got coming up. After that, this is a match I think could steal the show in regards to the women, and even steal it from the men. Timeless Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb. Now, let's hope Luther and Mariah May doesn't serve a part in it, but if it happens, it will happen. But at the end of the day, this is one of those women's matches that AEW could make their whole entire show on, just between those two women. Toni Storm is immensely talented. It was one of WWE's biggest mistakes to let her go. And I've been on record on Twitter, on Facebook, saying that it was a mistake. And since then, she has proven that it was a mistake with this timeless gimmick. The woman is immensely talented, and she's showing it. Whether in ring, on screen, heck, you can go to a wedding between your coworkers, Ruby and Angelo, and still be in grayscale in a picture while everybody else is in Technicolor. It was pretty cool. But at the end of the day, I see Timeless Tony Storm edging by Serena Deeb, although Serena Deeb is going to put on a show, a technical masterpiece, if you will, a la a Dean Malenko. Now, why do I say this? Well, her gimmick name is the Professor. One of her mentors in professional wrestling was Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds. Nothing more needs to be said there. After that, we've got Anarchy in the Arena, the Elite of Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the EVPs, Kazuchika Okada, and the Scapegoat, Jack Perry. The bootleg Elite, if you ask me. No Hangman, no Kenny Omega. You're not elite. No Cody Rhodes. You're not elite. You're just bootleg. Versus the AEW contingent of Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, FTR, and apparently the craziest son of a biscuit this side of Albuquerque, New Mexico, Darby Allin. How that man has survived going through glass, having his foot broken during the course of that match. He was supposed to climb Everest, somehow gets ran over by a bus and survives to tell about it, and then shows up on TV and is going to wrestle for the AEW contingent, which I have a feeling we're about to see a Bash at the Beach 96 finish. I have a feeling about something. And I have a feeling you're going to see the emergence of a heel Tony Khan. So if Eric Bischoff watches this, eventually, maybe, hopefully, probably never, but I kind of think that Tony Khan might take a page out of Eric Bischoff's playbook. I see during Anarchy in the Arena the potential of the heel turn of Tony Khan. Now, do we need another heel owner of a company? No. But if you book it right, if you make the stories for the baby faces worth what they have to do to overcome said issues against this elite faction, this version, you could make money off of this. And the fans that are going to go like, oh, it might be too WCW, too WWE. Guess what? A lot of everything, whether it's WWE, AEW, MLW, TNA, New Japan, has somehow been rehashed from a former storyline from one of these aforementioned companies. Just saying. NWA, GCW, the whole lot takes inspiration from other companies, puts their twist on the storyline from those pieces of inspiration. You look at it this way. Had there not been War Games, there would have been no Hell in the Cell, no Elimination Chamber, no Blood and Guts match. Just saying. These things happen for a reason. Like I said, I think the Elite go over. I would like to see FTR and Bryan Danielson and Darby Allin get the Duke, but I see the furthering of the storyline and a bigger build of baby faces needed once Kenny Omega is 100% to go at the Elite. And what I think is a mistake on the position on the card, the TBS title, yes, Will Nightingale, that I'm not going to take any away from that woman. That woman has immense talent and has only grown better, whether on the mic or in ring. Versus Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Renardo, whatever, Casca Reeves, whatever you want to call her this week. It's Willow versus the CEO. Obviously, the match has been set up to where potentially, possibly, Mercedes will go over on Willow and win the TBS championship. I think the women's world title that match should sit right under the main event, but I'm not the booker. This is just my opinion. I actually think that Willow will go over in that match, will win that match, will retain. And it furthers throughout the year, potentially, to their fall pay-per-views. Then Mercedes will take her run as TBS champion. Maybe not. But I think Will Nightingale takes this match. And next, and finally on this review or this preview of Double or Nothing, we get to Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, versus the patriarch of the patriarchy, Christian Cage. Now, we all know Christian Cage's resume. Don't have to rehash it here. Man's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when that time comes to put him in any company's Hall of Fame. Versus one of the best talent out there. Another mistake of the Vince McMahon era, late Vince McMahon era. Not saying he's dead, but towards the end of his era in creative and booking and signing talent. Another mistake that WWE made by letting Swerve Strickland go. Swerve has only proved through his matches, especially with the one most recently with Samoa Joe, that he can hang, that he is worth the championship that they put on his waist. And I believe Christian is the first good challenge, not to discount who he's faced already before for said championship. I believe the only match I can remember right now, and I'm going to kick myself for it, was Kyle Fletcher. But Christian is a Hall of Fame challenge. Christian will make Swerve $1 million. May even make him look like $1 billion. He is the right heel to show the struggle that said individual have to go through. But at the end of the day, I see Swerve Strickland retaining. I don't think he pulled the championship off of Swerve this early, because I think he plays a longer part in the eventual Elite versus AEW storyline that is to come, or NWO versus WCW, or however you want to see the Authority versus WWE, Nexus versus WWE, those kind of things, those storylines. I see Swerve as the leader of the AEW contingent versus the Elite down the line. So keeping the championship on him, unless they're going to plan to drop it to Okada at some point, while Okada is still the Continental Champion, or even after he gives that up and becomes World Heavyweight Champion, which I could see that happening if Swerve is to drop. He'll drop to Okada. Not foreshadowing, not thinking that it's going to happen, but it might. But long term, I think Swerve is an integral part of what's to come with these storylines. So I don't foresee him just dropping right off the bat in his first real major pay-per-view title reign, or title defense, excuse me. That being said, we're going to go to alibis and goodbyes. So, um, I am still searching for the right partner, collaborator to do this podcast with, or to do other podcasts with. Uh, if you're interested, if you watch, if you have anything you can bring to talking professional wrestling, let me know. I am open to getting to know everybody in the internet wrestling community and finding the right counterpoint to my point, so that way it is a spirited debate and we share our love through the debate game in regards to professional wrestling. Also, a little bit of good news. Um, my friend Nick Meekum of Barbarian Designs over there in England. I'm in Texas. He's in England. He and I have known each other for about a little over a decade now. He is a graphic designer and he has graciously offered to build some watermarks, an opening screen, and just a display page for the Twitter account and for what you see on the YouTube in regards to when you open up the page, everything else. So that's gonna be a really cool thing long term for this podcast. Hopefully, gets it more eyes, more ears, um, and hopefully stands out so that way eventually, if this were to become a national thing, you know, I can build the audience that I'd like to see, have an opinion in professional wrestling. Like I said, as a combat veteran, I'm going to be somewhat outspoken, but I can also work to be reserved and to have some kind of decorum for the history and the love that I have for professional wrestling. So, like I said, if you're a podcaster or want to get into the game, get a hold of me. Uh, if you want to collaborate, I am more than open to do your show. If you want to do my show, we can do a joint show together. I am all options open. Also, if you are a professional wrestling talent, whether here in Texas, nationally in other states, or internationally, you want to just let the world know who you are or who your company is, hit me up. I am more than willing to sit down, interview, get to know you, and be able to kind of go, okay, now I can watch and see what you're about. Please do get a hold of me. I'm all about promoting the professional wrestling game and the industry as a talk piece because, in all reality, if we aren't talking about it, then it goes away and it dies. And right now, wrestling isn't at that point. But we need to continue the momentum that an AEW, a WWE, a TNA, and all these other companies right now have. Because eventually we may see another lull again, like we had previous. So, with that being said, and with 5 minutes to the top of the hour, I'm going to kick off out of here. I'm going to get this on YouTube, the X Machine, and everything else. Please do make sure that if you haven't already, subscribe down here on the little search bar. I'm trying to point it. Subscribe to YouTube. The title's right there in the name, right under my name. And please do like and subscribe to the X account, FCTS, or excuse me, FTCS podcast on X. I eventually might make a Facebook page, Instagram page, just see how it goes. Um, but like I said, till next time and until we see each other again, I will not be doing tomorrow a Raw preview due to honoring, like I said, my brothers and sisters in arms who have paid the ultimate price. Uh, I will not be doing a Raw preview, but I will Tuesday do a Raw review and an NXT preview leading up to Tuesday night's show. With that being said, this has been Chris Branson from the Cheap Seats Wrestling Podcast, bidding you adieu. Make sure that even though we are honoring the veterans who did not come home tomorrow, make sure you remind a veteran, a first responder, how thankful you are that they are doing the job that so many of us would be scared to do in their position. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy Double or Nothing. I'll talk to you soon.